Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Outstanding closeout by the Philadelphia 76ers for them to bring the defensive intensity late in the game down the stretch to hold the Brooklyn Nets to 16 total points in that fourth quarter. It was crazy. It was awesome. You had Ben Simmons with ball denial where he shut down the Nets and where they wanted to go with the ball. Then he brought his physicality to the mix and he costed the Nets a possession because they turned the ball over. Matisse Thybulle getting in the mix, Josh Richardson, Al Horford late down the stretch, Tobias Harris, all of them were fantastic. And then Tobias offensively, stop it with that type of performance. That was crazy. He was so efficient. He was knocking down anything that came his way when it mattered. Awesome way to close out the game. We need to give this team credit. 19-2 at home, that's absurd. Now, their road record is absurd, too, on the opposite end, on the opposite spectrum, but you still need to credit what they're doing at home. I know you're supposed to win games at home, but a 19-2 clip, that is ridiculous. It really is. And they continue to thrive at the Wells Fargo Center in front of their own fans in South Philadelphia. Because, listen, this game wasn't pretty. It wasn't as if the Sixers were in control the entire time. They had to grind it out. They had to stay involved. They needed to stay in reach and grab it when they were able to. When they were capable of doing it, they had to go with it, run with it, make it happen, and they did that. But they weren't in control this whole game. The Nets continued to hold the lead, but it was a close enough lead where it wasn't to the point where the Sixers were blown out of this thing. They were just in reach, and they saw their moment. They seized the moment, and from there, they executed. And the defense started everything. It was the spark plug that got this team going in the right direction. Now, there's plenty to talk about when it comes to this game. But before we do, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. Are you looking to go to a Sixers game, a Flyers game, or any game out there? If you want to buy tickets, what if I told you I can give you money off? If you want to buy tickets, and if I can give you money off, wouldn't you love to do that? I can give you $20 off of your total purchase if you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page. It's a no-brainer. That is free food, free parking, free beer. Use the promo code BROADS today. So, when you look at this fourth quarter, 31 points for the Sixers. Tobias Harris, remarkable, efficient, 14 of 20, 34 points, 10 rebounds. That's the Tobias we need, right? Now, to expect that every single game, that's not going to happen, but this type of Tobias is a serious weapon. It's a guy who can create. It's a guy who can score. Not only knock down his three-pointers, but he can also shoot mid-range. He can also use that little floater. He was just able to do everything in this one. He was able to take it to the basket. Variety. And it was great to see. Now, Ben Simmons. He had a great first quarter. He scored double digits in the first quarter. He had 10 field goal attempts at half. He finished with 13 field goal attempts. He finished with 20 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, a steal, and a block. I'm not going to tell you it was a bad game. I'm not going to tell you it was a fantastic, insane game. But you saw what you saw the last 2 games coming to this one. It was a hot start. It was an aggressive start. It was definitely an aggressive start. And then as the game goes on, it slowly goes the other way. But I will say this. Some of those buckets late came off of some really impressive passes by Ben Simmons. Specifically, the Furkan Korkmaz run. And the Furkan Korkmaz lovers had a field day with me on Twitter because majority of this game, let's be real, Furkan Korkmaz, he was abysmal. Turning the ball over, getting waxed on defense, but he had that 2-3 minute run where he knocked down 2 threes. He also got fouled taking a 3. He then missed the free throws and ended up not getting boxed out, and he put it back. So he made that nice run, which definitely got this team going. So there you go on the Twitter fingers, everyone saying, "Oh, bros, look at him. He was useless for 10-plus games. He has 2 minutes in a game where he was awful for, say, 20 of those minutes, 18 of those minutes. and the Furkan Korkmaz guys start coming at me. And I embrace it. I find it funny. Listen, he had a nice spark in this one. There's no doubt that he had an imprint on this game. But I can still argue that maybe there were still worse defensive moments than there was good moments when it came to him offensively. But I'm not going to go down that road. I'll give him his props. He made some big-time shots when needed for this team, and it totally had a big momentum switch within the arena and the fans. So I'll give him the nod, absolutely. He had 15 points. But going back to my point with Ben Simmons, a laser pass with one of them, and it just all kind of got created with some of Ben Simmons' passes. So I don't think Ben's game was as night and day as the last two nights, but it was still in that direction. He also had a poor performance from the free throw line, shooting 2 of 7. That's a big-time problem with him, and the whole team shot very poorly from the charity stripe, and so did the Brooklyn Nets, so they kind of caught a break. Both teams failed miserably in that aspect. But I've been drilling this squad from the top of the year about the free throw percentage because they have awful nights and way too consistently. Spencer Dinwiddie drops 28, right? 26, I'm sorry. He's a Hall of Famer if he played the Philadelphia 76ers every game. Am I wrong? This guy continues to crush the Sixers. He continues to drop so many points, has his career high, ends up getting an extension after he blows through the Sixers. This guy just loves to play this team because he goes the hell off. I even tweeted this before the game. Death, taxes, Spencer Dinwiddie dropping 87 points on the Sixers in a game. It's crazy. While you have Kyrie Irving struggling big time, minus 29 on the night. What did he shoot? What was his final stat? 6 of 21. Ooh. 9 turnovers in the first half. Only 3 in the second half. The Sixers made a mini run towards that end of the second quarter, which ended the first half. They went on this mini run, and that was able to keep them involved in that game more than it probably should have. As I stated, it was not pretty at times. It didn't seem like they had it. But when they seem to turn it on, and it always goes back full circle to something I say a lot about this team, when they turn it on, when they are willing to defend, they are a scary team. They are a team that people will absolutely find a hard time going up against. And you can look at the Nets and say, Broads, what the hell are you talking about? They don't have a healthy Kevin Durant. They don't have a LeBron James. They don't have a Kawhi Leonard. This defense is working against trash players. Timothy Luwawu Cabarrot and players like that. And okay, you're right, it did happen against the Nets, but I'm just telling you as a whole because I've seen it. When they are willing to defend at an elite level, everyone plays that way, and it's a scary thing to see. And speaking of TLC, at one point I saw Furkan Korkmaz trying to break down TLC off the dribble. I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh, speaking of Twitter, I might as well just keep throwing out things I tweeted because at that moment I said, just what I tune into an NBA game for. Timothy Luwawu Cabarrot guarding Furkan Korkmaz, who jacks up a shot that's a brick. Unbelievable. Unreal. Let's get to Al Horford because he struggled in this one. 9 3-point attempts, which is way too much. But I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why he's playing the way that he's playing with this team is because of Ben Simmons and his inability to shoot the basketball and wanting to live in that paint area. It's drawing Al Horford out. 9 3-point attempts. It's not what we need. But down the stretch, he was good. He was good down the stretch. There's no denying it. For majority of the game, though, he wasn't. And it's a bad sight. And he looks a little weak. Not even a little weak. What am I saying? He looks weak as hell. But in the fourth quarter, the intensity picked up from everyone, including Uncle Al. We just need to get that on a more consistent basis. We need to get him going like that a lot more. longer periods of time. I just don't know if we will. He looks lost. He really does. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing in a ton of possessions. He's so confused on his role, and right now that's a little weird, though, because without Joel Embiid, he should not be confused, am I right? This is the time where he should look more comfortable, if anything. Speaking of comfortable, let's get to Matisse Thybulle. He sure looked comfortable in the starting lineup when it came to that defense and the hands in the face and the athleticism and getting all wild. What did he have? 4 blocks? 2 steals? He hit the 1 3-pointer? Momentum guy? Spark plug? 4 blocks. Come on, that one on Kyrie Irving over the top. And then he finds himself in the corner. I thought they missed an opportunity for him to go up with it, maybe get an alley-oop or something. But he curls around, he gets right into the corner, and boom. Place goes crazy. Place gets electric. So I thought Matisse was awesome, and he got the starting nod. I like that move out of Brett Brown to get Mike Scott out of that starting lineup because it's just not working. He should not be playing. I mean, I guess there's really nobody else to throw in there, but he's awful. He's awful. Awful. Awful, 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 awful. It's the only way to explain it. I'll say it again. He's awful. I can't believe he fell off to this degree. This sample size is huge. This is what he is. He's a streaky shooter, right? He's a streaky shooter. But there really hasn't been any good streaks. It's been all negative this year. I can remember maybe one game off the top of my head where he knocked down, 4 threes? Other than that, it's been this. So it's not even as if the streaky shooting is coming this year. I'm talking about as a whole. When you look at his identity throughout his NBA career, he is titled as a streaky shooter. But you're not getting that. You're just getting bad. It's crazy. Now, I think the Sixers got a little help from the injury bug in this one. Not that if DeAndre Jordan played, it would have been a huge difference maker, as if it's the same kind of player as LeBron James or something. But he did leave the game in a dislocated finger, just like Joel Embiid. What is going on? You could see him grabbing his hand, and they went to the replay, and you have the medical staff pulling his fingers, trying to move it back in place. He did not return to the game, and I believe I even saw that it was underneath the same exact basket of Joel Embiid. Oh, that's tough. That's definitely tough. Hopefully he does not need surgery because, as we know, it's something that will take some time. And speaking of Joel Embiid, pregame, he's shooting free throws with one hand, he's shooting shots with one hand, and he's running up and down the floor working on his pace. Now, I wonder if they're doing that for a reason, because he can do that outside of, in front of everybody pregame where the cameras are around and when people are coming into the stadium. They choose to do it then. I'm sure he's doing it outside of that too, but I just find it funny that, oh, look at Joel Embiid. He's running up and down the floor just to prove to everybody, hey, he's doing something. He's not just eating Chick-fil-A. He's not just drinking 7 milkshakes, right? Is that a crazy thought to think that they're doing that for a reason? And to be fair, I don't even know if what he was doing was enough to really keep him in shape. I guess maybe that's why I'm thinking that way too. It seemed like a light jog. Come on, Joel, put a little pace on there, huh? Let's look at the numbers. When you look at their shooting, 36.7% from 3, 30 attempts. That's realistic. This is more of a realistic night when it comes to what this team is capable of doing. This is more like their average. So when I just put up that discussion about the 3-point numbers and what they're saying, and 6 of 33, and what else did they have? Was it 9 of 37? Something very close to that when they played the Mavericks. That's not them. This is about what they are. This is more the normal when it comes to what they shoot. 36.7% with 30 attempts. This is what you'll live with. This is what the team is, basically, by average. Also, they shot 51.1% from the field as a whole. That's why when they were down, I'm thinking, why is this happening? They're shooting at a high clip. How are they not taking the lead? How are they not in control? How are the Nets bringing it? Well, they did work that pick and roll a bit. It did find its way in the hoop. Al Horford sometimes slow reacting and slow choosing which direction he wanted to go. that pick and roll did work, and they did get to the basket a decent amount of times. Sometimes I saw the Sixers do it and get a little revenge. Nowhere near as many times as the Brooklyn Nets did it. Actually, when I think about it, there was only one that specifically stood out to me, and I remember Mark Zumoff and Allah mentioning it, but they did do it at least once to try and get revenge. Let's just say that. So, I want to go back to Tobias Harris because I think he deserves a good portion of conversation here. That's good stuff, okay? That's really good stuff out of Tobias. As I stated, I don't know if that's something that I can see consistently. This is one of his better games. But one thing he did mention afterwards is I wasn't hesitant. I'm just going to shoot it. I'm not going to be hesitant in this one. I'm just going to shoot it. That's what he was saying after the game. He was telling himself that before the game, if that makes sense. So before the game, he was telling himself, I'm not going to be hesitating. I'm just going to shoot the basketball. And it seemed to be very effective. And when you look at the recent stretch of his last 5 home games, he's doing damage. He really is. He's taking over, and he's knocking down a lot of shots, and he's doing it at a high clip. So is it a comfort thing when it comes to being home? I guess that's a silly question because the answer is obviously yes, if 19-2 is their record at home while they're terrible on the road. But we need Tobias to be more in this direction. It doesn't have to be this efficient, 14 of 20 with 34 points, but it's got to be more towards this than it is the other way. His ability to knock down the three-point game really affected this team as well. And it opens up a lot for him. It really does. It gives him the ability to drive. It gives him the ability to use the floor and to have more space and to create other opportunities. This was great. It really was. This is something that I really want him to build off of, and I want him to be the guy. I mentioned how Tobias had to be the guy. We paid him a lot of money. He needs to be the guy late. When we had Joel Embiid in the mix, it wasn't really working because teams were double-teaming him and he started to turn the ball over. It's not going to be Ben Simmons. It's not going to be Al Horford. Sometimes I think it can be Josh Richardson. Sometimes he's not your go-to closer, though. The only guy it realistically can be is Tobias Harris, and in this game, he absolutely was that. He was a dog. He had the right mindset. He attacked, and he did it in so many different ways, so many different spots on the floor. That little mid-range game he has, too, I really do love it. It's not flashy. It's not flashy. It doesn't stand out to people. But he gets to about that free throw line. He just raises up, and it comes out smooth. He has a nice, smooth-looking jumper. I love when he gets to that free throw line, that mid-range, bang. It's something I wish Ben Simmons can get. I thought Ben Simmons did some nice things in the half-court set. I'm being satisfied by saying he did a nice few things in the half-court set, but he also frustrated me at times. There was one. He had one-on-one in the paint, and it was against a big man. Slip in my head exactly who it was. But he had so much space, an obnoxious amount of space. Picks up his dribble. He turns his body to the three-point line, and he chucks it out. That's the spot where it's a no-brainer. Ben needs to attack. Ben needs to go to the hole. Ben needs to take it hard. You can easily destroy that guy. You're a big 6'10 guard. Go after that big man. You can. You're more mobile. You're more athletic. There's so much space for you to go to work. Good old Ben Simmons. But you saw his versatility on the defensive side too. When other guards are going up against him and he's 6'10 and he's using his body to deny the ball in their playmaker's hands, where he's using his body to D up someone by the baseline, which causes them to turn it over late. He does bring it on the D side, and it's amazing. You can't turn that stuff down. You can't. So, there you have it. And the Sixers have a back-to-back coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Home against the Bulls, away against the Knicks. You got some winnable games on your schedule. You're going to have to take the most of your opportunity. And when you look around the schedule on today's slate, they got some help. And some of those top teams are playing each other as well coming up here in the next few days. So that's what you love to see. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.